This is the heart of San Diego. The history of this area is told by significant San Diegans who have made and are making a difference in our community. The Heart of San Diego is brought to you by San Diego Metropolitan Uptown Examiner and Daily Business Report, and by Roll Construction Company, Spirit of an American Family.
Hello, it's so good to see you. I'm Fred Lewis. This is the Heart of San Diego. The history of our community is told by men and women who have made a difference or are maybe right now making a difference. Brought to you by Roll Construction, San Diego Metropolitan Magazine, our fine sponsors, and we thank them for the wonderful 3 years they've been with us. Certainly, our Heart of San Diego guest, Richard "Rich" Collato, has made a difference in San Diego. He's affected thousands of lives as president and Chief Executive Officer of the YMCA of San Diego County since 1981. YMCA of San Diego County is the third largest in the United States, with more than 4,000 employees and some 240,000 to 270,000 active members and participants. Mr. Collato has been an active member of Rotary since 1970 and currently serves on the boards of directors of Sempra Energy, Project Design Consultants, and Microvision Optical. Rich is also a trustee of the Baus Foundation and the $4 billion YMCA Retirement Fund. This story is also the story of how the Y can change lives, and of course you have a great interest in education too, Rich.
Yes, I do.
Started for you in a tough area of Brooklyn, New York in 1943. Tell us about your childhood.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned I'm from New York, because some people think I have a speech impediment, but I don't. Well, I grew up in the inner city, just outside Bedford-Stuyvesant, called East New York. It's not unlike some of the areas here in San Diego County. And it was a rough childhood growing up there. The schools I went to were tough schools. The education system didn't give us as much as we really needed to develop into young people. So childhood was a bumpy road.
Picture of you and your mother and father and your sister Fran, and there's Fran and you with your mother. The road became a little bumpier when your mom got ill in a kind of a rare kind of polio.
Yes, when I was 12 years old, my mom got bulbar polio and encephalitis, which paralyzed her throat and part of her face, and she was in an iron lung for quite a long time. My dad was a worker for the sanitation department, street cleaner in essence, and he worked a second job driving an ice cream truck in order to make enough money to support our family. Unfortunately, I started hanging around the streets and got into more and more trouble while my mom was in the hospital and my dad was working 2 jobs, until finally, with a group of other kids, we vandalized a subway train and we got arrested by the police. I was 12 years old.
Now, in this picture, you're getting near 12 years old. It's about that time, isn't it?
Actually, that picture, that's when I found the YMCA, and the sweater I'm wearing in that picture was my high-Y sweater, my high school club sweater. So I was about 15 in that picture, and that's after the Y steered me in the right direction.
So you were actually a juvenile, quote, delinquent. That's what we called them in those days, Rich.
Well, after I got in trouble with the police, my dad and the judge got together and made me an offer I couldn't refuse. They sentenced me to the YMCA. They said, in essence, if I went to the YMCA, I wouldn't have to go to juvenile hall. And I don't know where I'd be today if it wasn't for the YMCA and the good decision that my dad and the judge made. But I remember the first day, my dad literally took me by the back of the neck through the YMCA doors. It was the last place I wanted to be. And he introduced me to this guy who was the physical education director. This guy had big shoulders and a little waist and real muscular. And this fellow, Bill Armett, took me under his wing and became a wonderful role model. And he began to channel my energies over the years into sports, and brought out in me the leadership qualities which I didn't even realize I had. I was just getting into trouble at the time. And I remember the first time in the swimming pool.
Without clothes?
Without clothes. In the old days, the boys, it was just boys at that time, swam in the nude. And you couldn't tell the sissies from the tough guys when they left their street clothes in the locker room. And there I was, this tough street kid, hanging onto the side of the pool in the shallow end, so tight, I was frightened. My knuckles were turning white.
You were a minnow, soon to become a dolphin and a flying fish and all of that wise stuff. And
Well,
I'm not laughing at it, I'm laughing with you.
Well, I wasn't even a minnow at that time. I couldn't, the only swimming we did was in front of a fire hydrant. We called them Johnny Pumps. And these kids that I used to bully on the street were doing flips off the diving board, and I was there in the shallow end. So I started setting goals. I knew that someday I would be a minnow and a flying fish and a porpoise. And the YMCA helped guide me through these goals, and one accomplishment after another.
What were you doing at Lane High School at the time?
Well, in Franklin K. Lane High School, that was an inner-city high school, and that was a tough experience also. About 50% of the population was African American and Puerto Rican, and about 50% Caucasian. And I was the only white guy on the track team. I was a shot putter. I also played on the handball team, and I swam. I learned how to swim at the Y, and then eventually swam for my high school. So, except for sports, the high school experience wasn't really a great one, because there were constantly race riots breaking out in the school. And when that would happen, I couldn't even go to track practice. And it made me realize at that time that all men and women are created equal, and it isn't fair to have prejudice, and began to formulate values that the YMCA later reinforced, and got me in a position where I was able to make a difference and a little impact there.
You were volunteering and then worked yourself into a part-time paid position, went to Brooklyn College. What did you want to be at that time of your life?
I didn't have any idea. My dad always instilled in me two values, and one was the value and the importance of hard work, and the second was the importance of an education, because both sides, my four grandparents immigrated, on my mother's side from Istanbul, Turkey, and my father's side from Italy. And they were basically illiterate and worked on assembly lines. One of my grandfathers had a little dress shop. And then my dad got a civil service job, graduated high school. My mom didn't graduate high school. They got married when they were teens. So the American dream was to have the kids graduate college. But
Sure.
My dad didn't have enough money to enable me to go to college. I worked my way. I was working and going to Brooklyn
Well, here's
College.
what you were doing. You became a physical education director or person at your local Y and worked your way through college. You went to Brooklyn, then went to an insurance division of St. John's University.
Yes.
Where you got your BA in business administration in 1966, I believe.
Yes, that's correct.
And this is the stuff that you were doing. I have a graduate picture of you. I hope is this Lane or is this...
Lane.
This is Lane High School,
Yes.
so we're moving back just a little bit.
I was 17 years old in that picture.
All right, caught the light a little better. Well, amazingly, at the age of 26, after working full-time for the Y for a few years, you got an offer to come to Southern California. How did that happen?
Well, my goal really was to get an administrative YMCA job. I wanted to give back to the YMCA where I grew up in, and I served as the Director of Health and Physical Education for 3 years, but my whole background was really in business administration, and I thought I would be better in the YMCA as an administrator. My second goal was to get as far away from Brooklyn as I could. And if you look on the map, California and northern Southern California is about as far away as you could get. A good friend of mine was in Northern California and got me an interview with the Berkeley YMCA and also with the Huntington Beach YMCA. And I flew out here and interviewed at both jobs, and Berkeley was too much like Brooklyn. And the Huntington Beach people took me on the Huntington Beach Pier in January. And it was just a matter of whether I was going to pay them or they were going to pay me, because I knew I was coming.
When did you meet this lovely lady?
Well, my wife and I met when I was working in Huntington Beach. A Superior Court judge whose youngster was involved in the Y introduced us. It was a blind date, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. That particular picture is when I was inducted into the presidency of Rotary in 1978. But my life took a change for the better when I met my wife, Kathy, and she's just been a blessing to me and our family.
Well, look what happened after you met Kathy.
And we're going on 30 years.
That's amazing. And you have 2 wonderful kids. Your daughter is on a basketball scholarship, Brandy, to USD, and your son is a wrestler.
Yes.
At Santa Fe Christian.
Yes, he is.
And you have really put down roots in San Diego. Some of the things that you're proudest of, very briefly, what you did in Orange County for the almost 10 years you were there.
Well, one of the best things was really just saving that Y. I realized that they hired somebody from the East Coast because no one on the West Coast would take the job. And the local talk was, if the next person can't do it, we'll just close it. So being able to save that Y, and now it's a vital force in the community, I'm very proud of. And I remember seeing all the kids on the beach. Huntington Beach is the surfing capital, and all of the kids on the beach with nothing to do. And I thought, well, if we could start surfboard riding lessons and teach kids how to surf, maybe we could attract them. And we started doing that, and the picture on the table is an award that the YMCA and I received for starting a non-traditional program to attract young people.
We're going to take a look at that a little closer. This is the story of Richard Rich Collato, who heads the YMCA in San Diego County, and he's quite a guy, I think you're finding out. My name is Fred Lewis, and we're on ITV, and we're brought to you by 2 wonderful sponsors, San Diego Metropolitan Magazine, Uptown Examiner, Daily Business Report, and Roll Construction Company, Spirit of an American Family for more than 80 years, and you see our signs all over San Diego County. And here's the picture that Rich was just talking about, receiving that award for the innovative program insofar as surfing is concerned. It's a great picture and a great memory.
That became a national YMCA program that reached tens of thousands of kids throughout the United States.
1981, you're called to San Diego. Did you want to come to San Diego?
Well, I thought I did. I interviewed for the job and thought I was blessed when they offered it to me. And after arriving, my wife was still teaching school in Orange County, so I came here by myself for a while and realized that the Y had very, very serious financial problems. And basically my assignment was to either take the YMCA into Chapter 11 bankruptcy and try and work it out and reorganize, or to try and work with the creditors and keep it out of bankruptcy, which is what we did.
Rich, by that time you'd had an MBA at Pepperdine, because you were living, of course, in the Los Angeles area, Orange County, and your business acumen stood you in good stead. As we go through the YMCA story with you, I've got to show this great historic picture of Mr. Naismith and his wife, the man who invented basketball at a Y with his peach baskets, and he put the ball in the peach baskets, and it became basketball. And this is a great historic picture, and of course he worked for the YMCA.
Yes, and then they decided to cut the bottom out of the basketball so they wouldn't have to climb up the ladder to get the ball out. And we tell everybody Shaq O'Neal would just be another big guy if it wasn't for the YMCA inventing basketball.
What are some of the other things that you found when you came here to San Diego, your first impressions? You've been here, of course, a few times since you were living in Orange County.
Well, in 1981, when I came to San Diego, it was really just a sleepy little Navy town. It was a quiet place. It was undiscovered. It wasn't very developed. There wasn't any urbanization. There was little diversity. It was very, very different than it is today.
Who are some of the people that made an early impression on you? I know one man did, whose family had this home, which became a YMCA center, the first YMCA center.
Yes, that's the Burnham House, and Malin Burnham was on the interview committee that hired me, along with Milt Shevardin, who has passed away since. And
he was with Conviz.
Yes, he was, and Shevardin Bach Insurance. And Milt was chairman of the board at the time. Malin was vice chairman. And Malin, to this day, still is an advisor and a mentor and has made a very, very positive impact on my life.
He's a good friend to so many of us here in San Diego. Tell us what we're looking at historically here.
Well, this is another picture of a YMCA, one of the early YMCAs in town, that every time a new member joined, the bell rang, is what I'm told. And that's on 5th and Broadway in downtown San Diego.
I don't think the building stands anymore,
It doesn't. The YMCA is, if not the, at least one of the oldest institutions in San Diego County.
And this is camping in San Diego County.
Yeah, the YMCA has Y Camp Marston up in the Julian area and Camp Raintree Ranch, as well as Camp Surf in Imperial Beach, an oceanfront camp. But some of the first years of camping were in marine-type tents like that. At this time, it was for boys only, but of course our camps today are fully coeducational, and there's no better experience for a young person than trading a week of hanging around the streets for a week in Y resident camp.
Rich Collato, when you came to San Diego in 1981, what was your vision? I know the first job you had to do was to save the YMCA, so it didn't go into bankruptcy. But after that, what were you trying to do?
Well, survival of the YMCA was paramount, and after 3 years, we worked ourselves into a position where we all knew we were going to survive.
And you got a little money because you sold this building.
Yes, that's the 8th and C Street YMCA that we sold to Tramwell Crow, and that basically gave us the cash flow that enabled us to rebuild the YMCA. And they allowed us to stay in that building for 3 years while we were redeveloping. And once survival of the YMCA was obvious, then we went through a strategic planning process. And we were doing strategic planning in the Y before it was vogue, and basically invented our future. And that was the name of our first strategic plan, Inventing Our Future. And my vision was that every kid in San Diego County deserves a YMCA experience. And I still have that same vision today and won't rest until every kid is involved in the YMCA or a program like the YMCA's.
Tell us about some of the other people, aside from Malin, who helped and who are working with you even today.
Bill Karstens has been a source of inspiration and has given sacrificially to the YMCA both his time and talent, and especially his treasures. Bob Townsend was involved in the YMCA, Townsend Lincoln Mercury, and was a past board chair of the YMCA in the days when I first came here. Tom Page was very active, San Diego Gas and Electric.
And that's how you eventually got on the board of San Diego Gas and Electric and now Sempra Energy.
Yes, that's where we first met, and he asked me if I would serve on San Diego Gas.
He's a wonderful man. I saw him recently.
Yes, he is, and still giving back to the community and doing some really excellent work for the Grossmont School District.
As an elected official.
Yes, sir.
Member of the board there. Yeah. Tom is a super guy. Your vision for the future. First of all, describe what we have today briefly, if you can, in YMCA facilities all over San Diego County. How many facilities do we have? I remember the old Copley, and of course, then you went into Mission Valley and the downtown area. But where is the YMCA located? And of course, the Ecke family in the North County. I'm doing the commercial. It should be you.
Well, we have 23 operating units throughout San Diego County. We have about 270,000 members and participants.
It's amazing.
Our annual operating budget is about $95 million. We're debt-free. We're in the process of raising $50 million to build 5 new YMCAs throughout the county and improve 10 of our YMCAs, existing YMCAs. And we just opened our newest YMCA in Oceanside, in the Oceanside community just a couple of weeks ago as a result of our capital development program. We've raised about $40 million of the $50 million so far, and we still have a little ways to go.
Congratulations. What a job you guys are doing. What was San Diego when you got here? You mentioned the sleepy Navy town. What are we today, Rich Collato, and what should we be tomorrow?
Well, I've seen San Diego go through a great deal of urbanization throughout the years, and with that has brought a lot of the challenges and also opportunities that come with rapid growth and urbanization.
That's increased the need for the Y, in your opinion, has it not?
No question about that. In fact, we literally have seen communities mushroom up. Rancho Penasquitos, for example, where there was nothing and open space, and then all of a sudden there's a community. And now, of course, we have a YMCA there. But that's been happening throughout San Diego County. But along with that, there's been more and more needs, not only for the underserved population, but also for the more affluent. All kids have challenges in growing up today in society. and we need to be there to support them.
You have been very active in the community, and that's why I'm going to ask you about our future. You were on the search committee for a superintendent of the San Diego City Schools that selected Alan Burson, and that's been a controversial thing. You're involved in foundations in education and in other areas and in the high-tech world. What kind of place do you envision San Diego and San Diego County being in the future?
Well, I think in education we have to be sure that our young people have an opportunity to learn how to read and write, and are prepared to go on to college and have an opportunity to be able to get into colleges. So I really believe that the blueprint, the educational blueprint under Alan Burson's regime is a step in the right direction, and I think they're really making miracles in the lives of young people, and it's not without controversy, but the only time the turtle moves is when he sticks his neck out, and Alan just has to be careful he doesn't get lopped off, but I really believe he's making a difference in education in San Diego County.
What are we doing right? What could we do better, briefly?
Well, we need to decide what we're going to do about an airport. We need to solve some of our traffic problems. We need to be sure that young people and all people can afford the housing to enjoy San Diego County. So we do have a lot of challenges ahead of us, but I've always looked at challenges as opportunities. And there's a saying that goes, man's potential is greater than the problems he creates. So I believe there's a very bright future here in San Diego County, and I'm certainly going to be a part of it. And I know those things that I'm not able to help solve, I know my kids will be able to as they grow up here.
Okay, giving back. You believe in giving back to the community and have done so. Why is this so important, both financially and with your efforts?
Well, when I was a kid growing up in Brooklyn, someone donated money and someone gave back so that I was able to get a scholarship to go to the Y because my parents couldn't afford it. And I'll never know who's that person's name. But now, as we all become a little successful and we're in a position where we could give back, there's other young people that have the same need, and they'll never know our name, but we need to be there to step up to make sure that they have an opportunity. And really, the only things that we really have in life are those things that we can give away and give back.
Who is Richard Rich Collato?
Well, the thing that I'm most proud of is being a father and a husband. That's my top priority. When our children were born, one of my friends said, why are you having children this late in life? And I said, because I don't have anything to do for the next 21 years. And my children and my wife and family are the most important thing in life.
What haven't you done that you would still like to do, Rich?
That's a difficult question. I'd like to continue to give back to the community and help make San Diego, our country, and the world a better place to live.
Most impressive person you've ever met?
Well, Gilbert Van Camp Jr., who was a benefactor of the YMCA and a benefactor of mine throughout each of the YMCAs that I've worked in and worked with, really taught me a lot. And he was one of the people who was really instrumental in my life in not only taking the position in San Diego, but helping me strategize the solutions.
What turns you on and what turns you off, Rich?
Challenges turn me on, and there's very little that turns me off. I just get excited about everything. Every day is a new day, and just want to live it to the fullest and help the community and help people realize their fullest potential.
Favorite spots in San Diego County?
I love the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Like going to the Y and working out.
What do you deeply, deeply believe in?
Well, I really believe that if we can instill character-building values that the YMCA is trying to instill in young people and families, the value of caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility, that one person at a time we could make the world a better place to live. And I believe our society has a deprivation of values, and organizations that build character like the YMCA can really make a difference.
Defining moment in your life, was it walking through the doors of the Y with your father dragging you by your ear
I would say there were probably 3 or 4. That would be the first one. The second one would be moving to the West Coast and the San Diego area, the birth of our children, and prior to that, of course, my marriage with my wife, Kathy.
And how do you want this community to perceive you personally and the YMCA, since you are the #1 person?
Well, it's not important for me to have them perceive me. What's important to me is to have them realize the good that the YMCA is doing and all of the people behind the YMCA that we're blessed with that makes our YMCA as strong as it is.
Rich Collato, we thank you for the service to the community and for a wonderful life and life story. My name is Fred Lewis. This is the Heart of San Diego, and we want to thank our fine sponsors for 3 years of support, Roll Construction Company and Kevin Elliott and San Diego Metropolitan Magazine and Gary Shaw. And we'll see you soon right here on ITV on the Heart of San Diego.
Videotapes of this program are available to schools and colleges, and to you, the viewer, by calling San Diego Metropolitan at 619-233-4060. The Heart of San Diego is brought to you by San Diego Metropolitan Uptown Examiner and Daily Business Report, San Diego's largest circulation business publication, and by Roll Construction Company, Spirit of an American Family.